Hi, I'm Caryn, coming to you today from the Center for Plant-Based Living right here in downtown Kirkwood. And today we're going to be making plant-based or vegan chocolate chip cookies. Now you can opt to put walnuts in these, as I'm going to do today, just to up that nutritional value, but you certainly don't need to. So let's get started, and I'll kind of talk you through the ingredients and why I'm choosing what I'm choosing. Oh, also, these are gluten-free as well. All right, so in this big bowl, we're going to start off with 1/3 cup of unsweetened applesauce. Now, I don't use any oil in my cooking, and in many baking, not all, but in many baking recipes, you can substitute oil out and put in unsweetened applesauce, and that ratio is just 1:1. So where this recipe would be 1/3 cup of oil, we're kicking that to the curb and we're adding 1/3 cup of unsweetened applesauce. Now we're also going to add in 1/3 cup of almond butter. I really like almond butter in this recipe, and you can use peanut butter if you want to, but you're gonna taste that a little bit more. Again, totally up to you, but I like the almond butter just because it has more of a subdued flavor. So these are our wet ingredients going into this bowl. Sticky, sticky. All right, then we're gonna add 1/2 cup, and I just said wet ingredients, but we're also gonna add the sweetener to this bowl. We're gonna add 1/2 cup of a dry sweetener. So this could be, if you just happen to have a regular old cane sugar around, go ahead and use it. It could be a maple syrup or like a maple sugar, so where they take maple syrup and dry it out and create just sugar, just like regular old sugar. Or it could be a beet sugar. So whatever dry sweetener you have around. And that really does work a little bit better than a liquid sweetener in this recipe. So you're not going to add maple syrup, but rather maple sugar if you wanted to. Then we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of ground flax seeds. Now, flax seeds are going to add a heck of a lot of fiber to this, which is exactly what you want. Fiber is something you will only find in plants. They're so wonderful. They're so health promoting. They will keep you regular, which is exactly what you want. Interestingly enough, also about fiber, is that it pulls out extra hormones from the bloodstream. So we all, men and women alike, create new hormones every single day. And in order to get rid of the old hormones, the only way really to do that is to have fiber in your diet, and the fiber sucks it up, carries it out. Now it also does that not only for old hormones, but also for toxins. So if you're on any kinds of medications, either prescription or over the counter, or shoot, maybe you had a Coca-Cola, or maybe you had a glass of wine, or maybe you had some not so good for you foods, whatever kind of toxins might be in your body. I'm guilty of it. Everybody has some kind of toxins in their body. What I'm trying to say is that we all need to keep as clean as possible, and fiber helps you do that. So please, please, please eat as many plants as you can per day, because it will have fiber in it, and that's what you want. Okay, that's my rant about fiber. I know, we could go on and on, really, call me anytime. But one more thing about fiber, sorry. You want to make sure that it is ground fiber, okay? There are fiber seeds that you might see, some kind of, maybe breads or packaged goods that'll say on the front of the package, fiber, this has fiber in it. Okay, but if you can see the seeds, that's bunk, don't do it. Why? Because our bodies cannot break down those full fiber seeds, and we'll just pass them through. You want to make sure you get ground fiber. Your body can really soak it up and use it. Okay, that's it on fiber now, I promise. Okay, now we're going to add a little bit of vanilla. Just a little bit, maybe a little bit more. Then just take a fork, and we're going to mash all this together. Okay, so why are we doing this? Why are we even adding the fiber other than it, giving you extra fiber? I'm sorry, why are we adding the flax? Other than it giving you more fiber. One great thing about ground fiber in ground flaxseed in a lot of these recipes, baking recipes, is that if you add some liquid to the flaxseed, the ground flaxseed, it soaks up that liquid and it becomes very gelatinous, just like an egg. So again, we're not using any oil, we're using applesauce. We're not using any eggs, remember, because no animal products, but we are using ground flax. So those are our two big substitutions in here. And I'm just mashing everything up with the back of a fork. It's very easy. And as I'm integrating all the ingredients together, it's becoming more gelatinous, and that is that flax seed in there soaking up all of the moisture. And this will become a really great binder as well for our cookies. Okay, now let's go ahead and add in our flour. Now the flours that I'm going to be using today are oat flour, and oats they don't have any gluten in them, but I like to buy certified gluten-free oats just because there is a lot of runoff in the fields, and they can, when they're spraying, the oats can get gluten from other wheat fields. So I just get whole gluten-free rolled oats, and then I grind them in a blender. So I never even buy gluten, or I never even buy oat flour. I just grind it myself. And again, it's just adding it to a blender. It's nothing fancy. Okay, so to that, we are going to add, let me look at my sheets, my notes, 1 1/3 cup oat flour. I have oat flour right here, and I have a 1/2 cup here. And with baking, I don't really like to be so exact, but because I really like to cook, but you just really, with baking, you have to be pretty spot on. So this is a 1/2 cup. And then this is a 1/2 cup. And I just said that, and I am going to add 1/3. Ish, there we go. Okay, so now we have our oat flour in there, and we're gonna add 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So we have this over here, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda because we want this to rise. And 1/2 teaspoon of salt, which will activate our baking soda. Okay, now we're going to mix everything really well. I'm going to get another fork. See, you don't need fancy stuff really. Mix it all up. And then eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some gloves on and get in here with my hands. That's usually what I do. But it seems to be coming together pretty well here. It smells delicious, I'll tell you that. Of course it does, it's cookie dough. You love that sweet smell of cookie dough. Okay. Okay, now what you could do is, if you're not worried about, or if you're not concerned about making a gluten-free cookie dough or cookie, you could just use whole wheat pastry flour. But I just thought, I'll go ahead and do a gluten-free cookie because then I can share it with one of my girlfriends who has celiacs. All right, so this is really nice. I'm wondering, maybe I'm going to take this up to you and show you just how well integrated this is. It's just a really nice dough consistency. It's not too wet and it's not too dry. Okay, Okay, and then we're going to add 1/4 cup of sorghum flour. Now sorghum is a gluten-free grain, and this I actually also bought in its whole form because you can do a lot of other kinds of cooking with it. All I did was take sorghum and throw that in my dry blender as well. Sifted it, just like I did with the oat flour, forgot that, sifted it. Sifted this as well and put it right in here. Okay, and this is 1/4 cup, yep, this is a 1/2 cup. So we're gonna do a half, just a half, okay. Spread that all around. Mix again. And it's so nice because you really don't need any fancy equipment, just a few bowls, a fork, right? And mix it all up. Okay. Now, I'm going to add in, just fold in some dark chocolate chips, and they're dairy-free. And they're also allergen-free. I have these Enjoy Life brand 100% real chocolate dark morsels. So, I mean, you know, there's no eggs, there's no dairy, there's no gluten. It is just unsweetened chocolate and some cane sugar. So, it's pretty pure, definitely not calorie free, so watch it. But that's what I have in here, and then just some raw walnuts. And I won't use them all because I really want this stuff to stick together. Sometimes we go crazy, well, sometimes I go crazy, and add a little bit too much, you know, sometimes I'll add too many nuts, seeds, chocolate in here, and then they won't stick together. Okay, so that's a pretty good ratio that we have going on here. Now I am going to add this little dollops to a parchment paper lined pan. So we're not greasing our pan. So no oil, no grease, none of that business. And I'm gonna get my spoon here. I'll put all of our, I think I probably have about a tablespoon and a half or so for each one of these. And put it right there on our pan. My oven is preheated to 350 degrees. Flatten them out just a little bit. And I'm going to cook them for about 8. I'm going to keep the light on and watch them. And every oven is calibrated differently. So these I've done, gosh, it's been a little while since I've made these, and I think they were probably 9 minutes, but I'll give it another watch. But just watch them in your oven. And then once you know in your own oven, then you know, right? Okay, I'm going to get going on here, get them in the oven, and I'll see you in just a few minutes. I just brought out the cookies, and this place smells great, as you can imagine. I actually cooked these or baked these for about 11 minutes because at 8 minutes they were still just a little soft, and I gave them another minute just because I wanted a little bit more crispy outside this time. Now also, when you pull them out, when you pull the cookies out of the oven, they may be a little soft. Don't worry about it because as they cool down, they will firm up. So you'll just pull them out and take them off of your baking sheet and put them onto a wire rack. You could leave them on these on your baking sheets if you want to, but I find that they cool down a little bit faster on a baking rack. There we go. And one other thing I wanted to mention is when you are adding in your flour or more of those dry ingredients when you're making your dough, you could also add in, you can bump up the flavor a little bit more if you wanted to add some pumpkin pie spice in there. That would be good for the holidays. Maybe a little bit of cinnamon, maybe some nutmeg, just to kind of play around with the flavor so it's not always the same old chocolate chip cookie. I know, there is no ever same old chocolate chip cookie. They're awesome all the time. All right, so I think they're still kind of, oh, they're crisping up. That's good. I am going to dig into one of these, and I hope that you do the same really, really soon. Take good care. Enjoy your new plant-based, gluten-free, if you wish, chocolate chip walnut cookies. Take good care. I'll see you next time. Oh.